Ever thought about what it's like to live a super fancy life? To have loads of money, throw epic parties, and wear the fanciest clothes? Well, guess what? Some folks actually did that. But here's the twist. They did it by tricking others. Yup, they pulled off some sneaky stuff to get rich quick. Today, we're diving into the wild stories of these big-time tricksters. We'll explore how they pulled off their crazy schemes and what their fancy lives were like before everything came crashing down. Get ready for some jaw-dropping tales. Bernie Madoff. The mastermind behind one of the largest Ponzi schemes in history orchestrated a staggering fraud that swindled thousands of investors out of approximately $65 billion. His elaborate scheme spawned several decades and was built upon a web of deception and deceit. Madoff's Ponzi scheme promised consistent, high returns to clients who entrusted him with their hard-earned money. He assured them of his exceptional financial acumen while secretly diverting funds from new investors to pay off earlier ones. The illusion of steady profits kept clients pouring money into his operation. Bernie Madoff's luxurious lifestyle was a stark contrast to the financial destruction he left in his wake. He owned multiple opulent homes, including lavish penthouses in New York City and grand estates in Palm Beach. These properties were adorned with priceless art, extravagant furnishings, and every conceivable luxury. Madoff indulged in a fleet of yachts, private jets, and luxury cars, each symbolizing his immense wealth. His multi-million-dollar yacht, the Bull, was a testament to his extravagance. Private planes allowed him to travel the world in style. Extravagant parties were a hallmark of Madoff's social life, where he mingled with celebrities, politicians, and Wall Street elite. These soirees were extravagant affairs, often hosted in exclusive venues, complete with gourmet dining, fine wines, and lavish entertainment. However, the facade crumbled in 2008 when the global financial crisis triggered a wave of redemption requests from panicked investors. Unable to meet these demands, Madoff confessed to his sons that the entire operation was a fraud. His arrest and subsequent conviction led to a 150-year prison sentence, marking the end of a life of opulence and the beginning of a legacy defined by financial devastation and shattered trust. Jordan Belfort, infamously known as the Wolf of Wall Street, orchestrated a massive financial fraud scheme that involved securities fraud and stock market manipulation, leading to astronomical illicit gains. Belfort's criminal activities were centered around the manipulation of stock prices, which resulted in a staggering amount of approximately $200 million in fraudulent profits. He achieved this through a series of bump and dump schemes, primarily operated through his brokerage firm, Stratton Oakmont. The scam was highly elaborate and unethical. Belfort and his team artificially inflated the value of stocks they promoted, enticing unsuspecting investors with promises of high returns. They employed high-pressure sales tactics, often targeting inexperienced investors who fell prey to their deceitful tactics. As they manipulated the stock market, inflating stock prices artificially, they aggressively sold these stocks to clients at grossly inflated prices. When the inevitable crash occurred, investors were left with substantial losses, while Belfort and his co-conspirators reaped enormous profits. Jordan Belfort's ill-gotten wealth financed a lifestyle of unparalleled extravagance. He possessed a sprawling mansion in Long Island, adorned with opulent amenities, including a tennis court and an extravagant pool. His impressive collection of luxury cars, which included a Ferrari Testarossa, Lamborghinis, and a Mercedes-Benz, epitomized his immense wealth. Belfort's life was marked by a relentless pursuit of excess and indulgence. His lavish parties were notorious for their extravagance, characterized by excessive spending, rampant drug use, and debauchery. His yacht, the Nadine, served as the epicenter of wild celebrations, often featuring a cast of models and Hollywood-style luxury. However, this excessive lifestyle proved unsustainable. The law eventually caught up with Belfort, exposing his fraudulent activities. His arrest and conviction led to imprisonment, while his story became the inspiration for the Hollywood film The Wolf of Wall Street. It serves as a stark reminder of the severe consequences of financial fraud, with a scandal involving approximately $200 million in fraudulent gains and the many lives negatively impacted by his actions. Frank Abagnale, notorious for his life of crime and deception, was involved in a web of check fraud and impersonation, leading a jet-setting lifestyle that spanned multiple identities. Abagnale's scam primarily revolved around check fraud, which involved forging and counterfeiting checks from various financial institutions. His criminal activities resulted in significant financial losses for banks and individuals, with the total amount of fraud estimated approximately $2.5 million. What set Abagnale apart was his ability to impersonate various identities effectively. He posed as a Pan American World Airways pilot, a doctor, and a lawyer, among other roles, exploiting the trust and authority associated with these professions. This impersonation allowed him to commit check fraud on an extensive scale. Abagnale's jet-setting lifestyle was fueled by his criminal activities and constant evasion of law enforcement. He used forged documents, including pilot licenses and identification, to travel the world for free. His ability to assume different identities made him exceptionally elusive, as he hopped from one location to another, often staying one step ahead of the authorities. His fraudulent activities ultimately caught up with him, leading to his arrest and imprisonment. However, his unique story became the basis for the book and film Catch Me If You Can, which showcased the incredible scale of his impersonation and check fraud, with an estimated total of approximately $2.5 million in ill-gotten gains. Charles Ponzi is infamous for originating the fraudulent investment scheme that bears his name, the original Ponzi scheme. His scam promised high returns to investors while actually paying earlier investors with the funds of newer ones, leading to significant financial losses for those involved. Ponzi's scheme revolved around a fraudulent arbitrage strategy involving international reply coupons. He promised investors exorbitant returns, as high as 50% within 45 days, or doubling their money within 90 days. These seemingly attractive offers lured a substantial number of investors into his scheme. The scale of Charles Ponzi's fraud was astonishing. He accumulated an estimated $20 million, equivalent to hundreds of millions today, in ill-gotten gains. The sheer magnitude of his scheme was unprecedented at the time. Ponzi's lavish lifestyle was a stark contrast to the financial ruin he left in his wake. He lived in luxurious apartments, frequented high-end restaurants, and dressed in expensive clothing. His extravagant spending habits drew attention and established him as a prominent figure in Boston society. However, the scheme inevitably unraveled as the influx of new investors could not keep up with the ever-growing demand for returns. Charles Ponzi's empire collapsed, leading to his arrest, conviction, and imprisonment. His name becomes synonymous with financial fraud, and his story serves as a cautionary tale about the consequences of seeking wealth through deceit, with an estimated total of approximately $20 million in fraudulent gains. Alan Stanford orchestrated one of the largest Ponzi schemes in history, a multi-billion-dollar fraud that promised extraordinary returns to investors while ultimately leading to massive financial losses. Stanford's scam was a complex web of deceit that revolved around the sale of certificates of deposits issued by his offshore bank, Stanford International Bank Limited. He promised investors high returns on these CDs, often significantly higher than market rates. This attracted thousands of clients who believed they were making secure investments. However, instead of investing the funds as promised, Stanford misappropriated them for personal use and to pay returns to earlier investors. The scheme relied on a constant influx of new capital to meet these obligations. The extent of the fraud was staggering, with estimates suggesting that Stanford's scheme involved over $7 billion in misappropriated funds. Alan Stanford's ill-gotten wealth funded a lifestyle of unparalleled extravagance. He owned multiple luxury homes, including a sprawling estate in the Caribbean, complete with its own cricket ground and a grand mansion. Stanford possessed a fleet of yachts and private jets, symbolizing his immense wealth and love for the high life. His yachts were named Sea Eagle and Sea Eagle II, and they were equipped with opulent amenities fit for a billionaire. Notably, Stanford became a prominent figure in the world of cricket. He sponsored international cricket tournaments, and the Stanford Super Series offered substantial prize money, drawing top cricket talents to his events. Yet, as with many Ponzi schemes, the facade eventually crumbled. In 2009, Stanford was charged with fraud, and his empire fell apart. He was sentenced to 110 years in prison for his role in the multi-billion-dollar Ponzi scheme, one of the largest scams in history. His case serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of financial fraud, involving over $7 billion in misappropriated funds and the lives ruined in the process. Jeffrey Skilling and Kenneth Lay, two prominent figures at the helm of Enron Corporation, masterminded one of the most infamous corporate accounting frauds in history. This elaborate scheme involved the manipulation of Enron's financial statements and the concealment of the company's crippling debts. Through a series of complex financial transactions and accounting tricks, they artificially inflated Enron's profits while concealing massive losses. The scale of the fraud was astounding, with Enron's stock price reaching dizzying heights due to the falsified financial data. Investors, including pension funds and individual shareholders, incurred staggering losses when the truth about Enron's dire financial situation was finally unveiled. The ill-gotten wealth amassed by Skilling and Lay financed lives of extravagant opulence and luxury. They owned sprawling mansions, featuring lavish amenities such as opulent swimming pools, private theaters, and vast manicured grounds. Their fleet of private jets served as symbols of their extravagant lifestyles, granting them the ability to travel the world in unparalleled style and comfort. High-end restaurants and exclusive events were regular fixtures of their social calendar, where they mingled with elite circles of influence. Extravagant parties and social gatherings were a hallmark of their lives, often attended by influential figures from the realm of politics and business. These events were characterized by limitless spending, gourmet cuisine, and top-shelf libations. However, the Enron scandal eventually unraveled, leading to a catastrophic collapse of the company and catastrophic financial losses for countless investors and employees. Both Skilling and Lay faced prosecution, with Skilling receiving a 24-year prison sentence. Lay, who passed away before sentencing, left behind a tarnished legacy. The Enron scandal remains a harrowing testament to corporate misconduct and fraud, involving billions of dollars in losses and damages. Robert Maxwell, a media tycoon, was embroiled in a massive scandal involving pension fund theft and financial misconduct. His deceitful actions primarily targeted the Mirror Group pension fund, which he used as a personal piggy bank. Maxwell illegally siphoned off approximately £460 million, equivalent to billions in today's currency, from the pension fund to shore up his failing business empire. Maxwell's financial misconduct extended to falsifying financial statements, misleading investors, and manipulating share prices. He used a complex network of offshore companies and fraudulent transactions to cover his tracks, ultimately jeopardizing the financial security of thousands of pensioners. Robert Maxwell's ill-gotten wealth enabled a life of unparalleled extravagance and opulence. He owned a fleet of lavish yachts, including the Lady Ghislaine, which was equipped with extravagant amenities and staffed by a crew to cater to his every whim. Private islands in the Caribbean were part of Maxwell's portfolio, offering exclusive retreats where he could indulge in the height of luxury. These private paradises were equipped with all the comforts one could imagine. Opulent living extended to his numerous homes and properties, each more grandiose than the last. Maxwell's residences featured extravagant furnishings, priceless art collections, and extravagant gardens. However, the truth about Maxwell's financial misconduct came to light when he mysteriously disappeared from his yacht in 1991. It was subsequently revealed that his entire empire was in dire financial straits. Investigations into his fraudulent activities began, and his legacy was forever tarnished. The enormity of his crimes, which involved the theft of approximately £460 million from pension funds, remains a testament to the devastating consequences of corporate greed and financial malfeasance. Barry Minklow gained notoriety for perpetrating a massive fraud through his carpet cleaning company, ZZZZ Best. He masterminded a scheme that involved fabricating the success of his business to defraud investors and lenders. Minko claimed that ZZZZ Best was a highly profitable carpet cleaning and restoration business, but in reality it was largely a facade. He created a fictitious paper trail, complete with fake contracts and phony financial statements, to deceive auditors and investors. This fraudulent activity allowed him to secure millions of dollars in loans and investments. The scam reached staggering proportions, with Minko orchestrating a web of deceit that ultimately resulted in estimated losses of $100 million for investors and lenders. Barry Minko's ill-gotten gains funded a life of luxury, characterized by ostentatious spending and extravagance. He He purchased a fleet of luxury cars, including a Ferrari, a Porsche, and a Lamborghini to flaunt his newfound wealth. Minko resided in opulent mansions, complete with lavish furnishings and extravagant amenities. His home was a testament to his apparent success, with no expense spared in their decoration. He indulged in a lifestyle of extravagance, frequently dining at high-end restaurants and rubbing shoulders with celebrities. His conspicuous spending habits attracted attention and established him as a prominent figure in his community. However, Minko's fraudulent empire eventually unraveled when his deception was exposed. He was sentenced to prison for his role in the ZZZZ Best fraud, serving time for his crimes. His case serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of financial fraud and the far-reaching impact it can have, with estimated losses of over $100 million. Elizabeth Holmes, the founder and CEO of Theranos, orchestrated a massive health technology fraud that shook the medical industry. Her company promised a revolutionary blood testing technology that could conduct a wide range of tests using just a few drops of blood. But in reality, the technology didn't work as claimed. Holmes and her company misled investors, patients, and medical professionals, exaggerating the capabilities of their devices and downplaying the critical issues with accuracy and reliability. Theranos raised hundreds of millions of dollars from investors based on these false claims, reaching a peak valuation of $9 billion. The fallout from the scandal was significant, leading to a criminal investigation, civil lawsuit, and the closure of Theranos. Holmes faced multiple charges, including wire fraud and conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Elizabeth Holmes cultivated an image of success and sophistication, living a lifestyle that reflected her ill-gotten wealth. She resided in luxury apartments and homes in exclusive neighborhoods, furthering the perception of her as a visionary entrepreneur. Holmes was often seen in the media wearing designer clothing and maintaining a meticulously crafted image. Her signature black turtleneck became synonymous with her persona, designed to evoke the image of tech giants like Steve Jobs. Media attention followed her closely, as she portrayed herself as a groundbreaking innovator and appeared on numerous magazine covers and television programs, including Forbes and Fortune. However, as the truth about Theranos and its fraudulent practices came to light, Holmes faced a dramatic fall from grace. She was indicted on multiple charges and faced a high-profile trial, with the scandal serving as a stark reminder of the consequences of deception and corporate fraud, including a peak valuation of $9 billion and affecting investors, patients, and the medical industry as a whole. Lou Pearlman, a music industry impresario, orchestrated a massive Ponzi scheme that defrauded investors out of hundreds of millions of dollars. Pearlman operated fraudulent investment programs under his company, Transcontinental Airlines, enticing individuals to invest substantial sums in what he claimed were high-yield opportunities. In reality, Pearlman was running a classic Ponzi scheme, using funds from new investors to pay earlier ones, while siphoning off substantial amounts for himself. He fabricated financial documents and provided investors with falsified account statements, creating the illusion of profitable investments. Pearlman's scam was massive in scale, involving numerous victims and an estimated total loss of approximately $300 million. Lou Pearlman's ill-gotten wealth financed a lavish and extravagant lifestyle. He owned private jets, which allowed him to travel in luxury and style. These jets became symbols of his success and extravagant living. Mansions and opulent residences were part of Pearlman's property portfolio, reflecting his ostentatious lifestyle. These homes were adorned with extravagant furnishings, reflecting his penchant for luxury. Pearlman's social life was marked by extravagant parties and gatherings, attended by celebrities and influential figures from the entertainment industry. He enjoyed the finest dining, top-shelf beverages, and all the trappings of an A-list lifestyle. However, the facade crumbled when his Ponzi scheme was exposed. Pearlman was eventually arrested and convicted of multiple charges related to the fraud, leading to a 25-year prison sentence. His case serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of financial deception and Ponzi schemes, involving an estimated total loss of approximately $300 million and the lives ruined in the process. Anna Sorkin, better known as Anna Delvey, achieved notoriety for her high society impersonation and fraudulent activities. She posed as a wealthy German heiress and socialite, ingratiating herself into elite New York City circles and luxury hotels. She artfully manipulated people and establishments, convincing them to extend credit lines and provide her with extravagant accommodations and services. Delvey managed to defraud individuals and businesses out of thousands of dollars by evading payment for her opulent lifestyle. Her scheme included a mix of deceit, forged documents, and empty promises, all of which enabled her to maintain a facade of immense wealth. Anna Delvey's ill-gotten funds funded a lifestyle of luxury and extravagance. She lived in high-end hotels, often without settling her bills. Her stays at luxury establishments became notorious as she ran up substantial debts while presenting herself as a wealthy heiress. Delvey frequented fashion shows and exclusive socialite events, rubbing shoulders with influential figures in the art, fashion, and social scenes. Her carefully crafted image allowed her to access exclusive venues and high-profile events. Her fashion choices were impeccable, and she was often seen in designer clothing and accessories, furthering the illusion of immense wealth. However, the truth about Anna Delvey's fraudulent activities eventually came to light, leading to her arrest and subsequent trial. She was convicted of multiple charges, including grand larceny and theft of services, serving time in prison for her crimes. Her story serves as a reminder of the consequences of impersonation and fraud, with her fraudulent activities involving thousands of dollars and the lives she impacted along the way. As we wrap up our adventure through these wild stories, remember this: fancy parties and cool stuff might look fun, but honesty and being straight up are way better. These stories teach us to always be on the lookout for tricky stuff and to keep our trust in check. So, as we say goodbye to these cool yet crazy tales, let's keep being awesome, truthful, and smart. Because in the end, it's not the fancy stuff that matters, but how we treat others and the good stuff that we do.